नमामि विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवी गौरवाणि निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे
Hare
कृष्णा
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna,
yes.
Hare
So
Hare.
I'd like to request Deepak Suriji if you would like to share last class what we discussed. If you can summarize, that will be very grateful. If you remember something, can you please summarize? Hare Krishna, Deepak Suriji, are you there?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। मुझे अभी कुछ याद नहीं है विशेष।
Okay.
क्षमा चाहूंगा मैं।
No worries, no worries. Yes. Garima Mataji, you were there last session? You attended?
Prabhu, I was there.
You remember something?
Yes, Prabhu, few things I remember. That we should not find the doshas, darshan means we should not try to find doshas in others, and we should try to see good things in others.
Okay. Yes. Someone else would like to volunteer, summarize, or share?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, last session you taught us that why we should construct big temple. It is absolutely necessary because without any education center, common people cannot learn. And whatever Acharya and great men are doing, common people are following their paths.
Correct.
And when we go to the temple, temple is not an ordinary place. It is an extraordinary place. T means tranquility, where we can face how to overcome our challenges in our lives. E means education. Education is Brahma Tattva, Brahma Gyan, Supreme Lord Krishna. M for medication. M for medications, and L for love, and E for engagement. Engagement in service of Lord Krishna without any fruitive results, because he is the Supreme Lord. So when we go to the temple, we can advance our spiritual life also, and we keep the Krishna in center stage of our life. Our life will be far better, because Prabhupada once said, if we engage our mind, 3-4 minds in Krishna consciousness, our all work will be completed. But we are doing reverse, because we are full time, even though we are engaging full times to our material lives, but we cannot do anything in perfect manner.
Correct.
So if we go to the temple, and we will get the good association, pure devotees, we will get the prasadam, that is the mercy of Krishna, and our mind and our all reputs will be gradually reduced. Mat, tam, krodh, lobh, moh, matsarya, mascharya. Because without devotee, we cannot get the love of Krishna. And Guru is the main media. He is the main. Guru is like a messenger of Krishna. So we have to big temples so many times. So many people ask Prabhupada why it's necessary to build such a temple. And he replied that if you give foods to any needy people, it's good work, no doubt. But again he will be hungry. So its permanent solution is required. Why is suffering? And actually when we are thinking that we are enjoying, but we are not enjoying. Prabhupada is saying we are suffering, because when we are getting one glad news or some comfortness, but because some sorrowness is behind there. So we have to always engage in Krishna service. In Mandir, we can do so many services by directly or indirectly, some financially, some physically, book distribution, prasadam seva, each and everything as per our capacity we can do, and we can purify our mind. That is the most important thing to be such an example, because your devotee, they can do anywhere, they can engage, because they have raised their standard of spiritual life. But we common people, we cannot, without media, we cannot do anything. Without such an, we have to increase our spiritual level also. So that is, it is most necessary, absolutely necessary to such as VCM doing such a big temple, tallest temple. Mayapur also doing biggest temple in the world is marvelous, because due to this reason, we will go to the temple. Otherwise, very few will go to the temple to inquire self-inquiry, because from where we have come, where we have to go. So if we construct, then people will attract, because Krishna attracts all people.
Yes, wonderful. So as nicely mentioned, so just I'll summarize in a line that we covered the third chapter, 2 verses, Karma Yoga. 2 verses were verse number 25th and verse number 26th. These 2 verses we covered, and we understood how an Acharya, who is a very learned Acharyavan Purusha Veda, he knows the purport of the Vedas, of the scriptures. He gives an opportunity to the people in general, those who are conditioned souls, to make a spiritual advancement very swiftly. So they devise such, practical things in our life, by which we get attracted, or we bring Krishna as a center of our life. Just like these acharyas, they construct such a huge temples where it gives an opportunity to thousands and lakhs of the people to engage or to bring Krishna in their life as a center. So some element of bhakti is added into their life, by which they can experience that joy and happiness, and gradually they can make a spiritual advancement in their life. They can come out of the cycle of birth and death. Right? So we will continue next verses, verse number 27, 28 and 29th. These verses are very practical verses in the Bhagavad Gita. Especially verse number 27 is one of the most important verse of Bhagavad Gita. Yes. So we will try to complete this today itself. It's a very vast. Lot of things are there to understand in detail about this verse. So we will try to cover as much as possible. So all of you please join me in chanting this shloka. Prakate kriyamanani Gune karmani sarvashah Ahankara vimudhatma Karta ham iti manyate. Someone would like to chant this shloka?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa ahankara vimratta kartamiti mannati.
Yes, someone else?
Prakrite kriyamanaani gunakarmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate.
Yes, someone else?
Prakrite kriyamanaani gunakarmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate.
Yes, someone else would like to.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि पुनः कर्मणि सर्वशः अहङ्काराविमुक्तात्मा कर्तम् इति मन्यते.
Wonderful. Yes. Someone else would like to chant?
Yes, Prabhu. प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणे कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते.
Someone else would like to try?
Yes, Prabhu. Prakrite kriyamaणानि gune karmani sarvasha ahankara vimuktatma kartahamiti manyate.
Wonderful. Yes, someone else would like to chant? All right. We'll read the translation. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature. So here, Krishna, in a way, he is breaking our illusion. What he is trying to tell here, that we think that we are the doer, I am doing, because of that this world is working, because of that this work is happening. And under that illusion, I am working day and night very hard. But in actuality, this work is carried out by nature, Prakriti. In earlier session, we understood Prakriti is comprised of these three modes. What are those three modes? Anyone remembers?
Sattva, Raja, Tama. Sattva-gun, Raja-gun, Tama-gun.
Yes. Sattva-gun, Rajagun and Tamagun. Sattva-gun is a mode of goodness, mode of passion and mode of ignorance. So based on these three modes, we are always acting and performing some work. Activities we are performing. But out of ahankara, out of false ego, we think I am doing this activity, I am the doer. So we will try to understand more in detail by reading this purport. Two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level. One may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. The person in material consciousness is convinced by false ego that he is the doer of everything. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by the material nature, which works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of the Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of his essence. He does not know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature and under the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such his body and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna in Krishna consciousness. The ignorant man forget that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Rishikesha, or the master of the senses or the material body, for due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by false ego, which makes him forget of his eternal relationship with Krishna. So very wonderful verse, very important verse to understand so many things here, and it is a very practical verse for a person in general, that how under the influence of this material nature is nothing but it's an illusory energy of the Lord. It is illusory energy of the Lord. So a person in general, he get influenced by such illusory energy of the Lord, and he is acting independently, engages all his senses. We have 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. All his senses he is engaging in the service of the Lord, in this in his own sense gratification rather than service of the Lord. Whereas Lord, one of the name is here mentioned as Rishikesha. Rishikesha means he is the owner of the master of the senses. Rishikesha means he is the master of the senses. So our all senses should be engaged in his service rather than that we are engaging those senses in our own sense gratification, and that's how problem starts in. From there, problem starts in. How from engaging senses in sense gratification problem starts is in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Sangat sanjayate kama, kama krodha vijayate. So when our senses, they are engaged in thinking of the sense objects, what happens? Attachment for such sense object arises. And when attachment develops, we want to enjoy those senses, sense objects, and gradually we see at the end there is a frustration. Anger arises, delusion arises, and ultimately one gets frustrated in his plan. So in our life, if we see, we all are working day and night very hard to satisfy our senses. To satisfy our senses, or to satisfy the senses of the society, to satisfy the senses of our family members, to satisfy the senses of our relatives, friends, so many such people. But we see all these things we may try to do in our life. None of them or none of such things give us happiness or the satisfaction in our life. Many a times we get frustrated. So our own self, we are creating such a world which is full of such illusion that this thing is going to give me happiness, that thing is going to give me a happiness. Once, Indra, what he did, when this Nar Narayana, they were performing austerities in the Himalayan region. So Indra, out of his false ego, he thought that this Nar Narayan, they will become even powerful than me and they will acquire my position. So as we all know what he did, he sent some apsaras like Menka and all that, he sent to Nar Narayan to distract them. But what happened? Narayana, from his thigh, he created one beautiful apsara by name Urvashi, which could surpass the beauty of all the apsara Indra was having. And ultimately this Urvashi, she became the most beautiful and most dearest apsara of Indra. So Indra, out of his false ego, he was thinking that I am that powerful person and all this is working under my direction, all that he was thinking. He forgot that this Nar Narayan is none other than Lord Krishna and Arjuna. So Krishna, who is the creator of the entire creation, is telling Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Pravartate, from me everything is emanating, and he is Sarva Karanam. He is Sarva Karanam. He got deluded, illusion, and out of that he acted in such a way, whereas Lord, when he created such an apsara which is never ever seen, such beauty is never ever seen, he got bewildered. Even if we see Arjuna in the starting of Bhagavad Gita, we understood that how Arjuna, when he was relating that all these are my family members, and what is the use of killing them for just a piece of land? What is the use of killing them for a piece of land? It's better to go to the forest. So again, Krishna, he guided Arjuna. What he said, that this yudh or fight, what you are considering to be an ordinary fight, is not at all an ordinary fight. It's a dharma yuddha. And you being a Kshatriya, it is your duty to fight for this dharma yuddha, to establish dharma, to establish religious principle in the society. You should fight. Because Kshatriya means Shati Trayate iti Kshatriya, one who protects from the danger is known as Kshatriya. So you have to fight this battle, you have to establish the religious principles in the society. Therefore, you have to fight. And top of that, Arjuna being part and parcel of that Supreme Lord Krishna, he should understand the desire of that Supreme Lord. And he has to act to fulfill his desire. And that is what happened after hearing the Bhagavad Gita. This is what Arjuna told. He told, Nashta moha smritir labdha. Now my all moha, all the illusions has been nashta, means has been destroyed. Smritir labdha. Now I have gained my intelligence, my memory, who I am that part and parcel of you only, Krishna. So whatever you say to me, Karishye vachanam tava, whatever you say, I'll do. If you want me to fight, I'll fight. If you want me to run away, I will run away. I will follow your instructions. Same way, we, being part and parcel of that Supreme Lord, when we act for His pleasure, for His service, when we perform, or when we hear about Him constantly, not like one day I have heard, I have understood, now I will remember, nothing can stop me. So what happens? Again we'll get frustrated. Again we may try, things will go against us, will not help us. So how it has to be is, Nityam Bhagavata Seveya. On regular basis, we have to hear from the devotees. We have to hear about ourselves, who we are, about this Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna is saying. When we hear the glories of the Lord, when we hear about the Lord, when we hear about the instructions of the Lord, our moha, our illusion can be destroyed. Otherwise, it is not at all possible. So one has to engage in that devotional service of the Lord, by which he can get remembrance. His memory can be again reminded that he or I am that part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. I am that part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna, in the Bhagavatam, very interesting thing is sharing. I'll just search out and share that verse. Yes. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is saying, Bhagwan yasya grhamani harishye tad dhanam sanehe tato dhanam tajente asya swajana dukha dukhitaham. What he is saying? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth, then the relatives and the friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. So very interesting thing here Krishna is mentioning. that when somebody, is favored by that Supreme Lord Krishna, what he does is, he takes away the wealth of such person, he takes away the friends and relatives of such a person, and make him abandoned. So why Krishna does like this? And he is telling, in this way he will suffer, and that is my special favor. So what is this? Lord want us to suffer? So why Krishna is telling? Because entire life we are working very hard to acquire some wealth, friends, relatives, all that we are working very hard in our life. So that we think this all these things, made us think that now I will be happy. By acquiring wealth, I will be happy. By acquiring some name and fame, I will be happy. By having my friends, family members, all that, I will be happy. But Krishna, out of his mercy, he breaks such illusion. He breaks such illusion of that devotee. He breaks such illusion of that particular fortunate person. And what he does in the next verse, he is saying, wonderful thing he is saying. When he becomes frustrated in his attempts to make money and instead befriends my devotee, I bestow my special mercy upon him. So here what Krishna is telling, he is putting all his efforts and acquiring all the material assets in his life. But when he gets frustrated, that time I send my devotees as his friend. Because devotees, they are the friend to all the living entities. They are the well-wisher of all the living entities that exist. So these devotees are sent to such person. So Krishna, to show his special mercy, special favor, what he does, first he does is break the illusion by giving the distress. And second thing he does is, he connects such person with some devotees, sadhu, by which he understands that this life is meant to make a spiritual advancement, not for just for material assets. This life is meant for that is spiritual advancement. It is Krishna's special favor upon the jiva. But now that question arises, oh, Krishna gave us distress, so better not to serve him, better not to do his bhakti. No, Krishna show this special favor he is mentioning. This is a special favor to very, very rare person. Out of crores of people, hardly one or two people will get such favor from the Lord. Hardly very few people will get such favor. In that favor, Krishna blessed them with the devotees association sadhu sangha. And when they are blessed with such sadhu sangha, they swiftly make this spiritual advancement in their life and they come out of such distress very quickly. Just like we wear these clothes, sometime we get these clothes, some stains are there. Some stains are very hard, some are very soft. Some go just by, washing in the washing machine. In the normal mode, you wash, it will go away those stains. But for some stains, you have to use some hard, mode by which that stain can go away. To some stains, you have to use some special chemicals or some special detergent by which you can get rid of such stains. Same way, Krishna Only very few fortunate souls he breaks such illusions. That entire life you have been spending to acquire wealth, money, friends, relatives, all that, but he breaks such illusion that none of such things will help us. These are like asat senya. When there is a real need, these things will not help you. So through sadhu sangha is very, very important. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastra kaya, lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi haya. Just by the association of the sadhu sangha, one can understand the purport of the Vedas or the scriptures. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastra kaya. Sarva means all the scriptures. Purport he can understand by the association of sadhus. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastra kaya. Lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhiya. Lava means fraction, just for a fraction of a second. If one associate with such sadhu, what will happen? He can attain the perfection in his life, siddhi in his life. And who is a sadhu? Whose eyes are completely anointed for the love of that Supreme Lord. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadeva hrideshu vilokyanti. And his heart, always he is carrying that Supreme Lord, is known as a sadhu. So just for a fraction of a second, if somebody associate with such sadhu, he can get free from illusions. He can get free from the illusions, just like Prabhupada. He traveled all across the world just by associating with Prabhupada, just by reading Prabhupada books. We see how people they get free from the illusions in their life and they lead a meaningful life. Just like a person who is sleeping, he is in very deep sleep. He can be awakened. How you can wake him up is by calling him. So and so person, whatever his name is, you call him, he'll get up. Same way, we are in deep ignorance. We are in deep ignorance. But when we call out Krishna's name, our real nature is awakened. Our true nature. What is our true nature? We are that part and parcel of that Supreme Lord. We are the spirit soul. We are not this body. So far, whatever activities we are doing is doing for our this body, for the sustenance of our body, or extended self. What is that? Nation, society, friends, relatives, family members. So we are trying to satisfy all of them, their senses, our own senses, but we are not at all serving our own self. So just like a person who is in deep sleep, he can be awakened by calling out his name. Same way, our real self can be awakened when we serve that Supreme Lord, when we chant his holy name. So many times when we get illusioned, it is very, very tough. Toughest thing in this world is to come out of the illusion. That is the toughest thing. And Krishna, out of his mercy, by blessing us with the association of sadhus, just like Prabhupada, he breaks our illusions. For an example, a person who has lose his own mental stability, he is in his own world. You try to make him understand, he'll not be able to listen. So at the end, what you have to do? You have to send him to the mental asylum. That is the solution, because he has created his own world where he is not at all able to relate with you. You are not at all able to, help him or relate him. So you have to send him to that asylum. So same way, We all have got illusioned, but our illusion is same, to acquire material acquisitions in our life. But that illusion Krishna breaks very mercifully by blessing us with the association of sadhus, and he help us to understand what is the reality of life and how we have to lead our life in a very meaningful way. He help us to understand all these things. So Krishna is very, very kind, where he gives such opportunity to make spiritual advancement to lead a meaningful life. Once there was a one village, and in that village, head of the village known as Sarpanch, he was there, and lot of villagers, they were residing there, and all the villagers, they were very happy, they were rejoicing, they were joyful under this Sarpanch, head of the village, because this head of the village, he was very nice in nature. He was taking care of each and every villager in that village, fulfilling all their desires, taking care of them, everything he was doing very nicely. This Sarpanch, or head of the village, he was taking care of all the villagers. And everyone also was very happy by this head of the village. So once what happened, a villager, he
ईयरफोन का होल होता है वो नहीं
developed,
बन रहा है ना आजकल
he developed that why this head of the village is being, glorified by everyone. I should also be glorified. I should also, get such name and fame. So what happened? He approached this Sarpanch, or the head of the village, and told him that, see, I also want all these things in my life, name and fame in my life, all this glorification. But it is not possible for me that, we either you can be glorified or I can be glorified. So it is not possible for both of us to stay together. So it's better I leave this place and I'll start fresh. So this Sarpanch, who is the head of the village, he was, trying to make him understand why you are going. I'll take care of everything. Whatever you want, please let me know. I'll give you everything, whatever you want. But don't go away. Don't go away. Like that, he is requesting. So this villager, he sees that there are some, unused items or rejected items which are lying on the courtyard of that head of the village or Sarpanch. There are some, just like, some things which are no longer in use. Those things are abandoned there or kept there. So he thought, okay, let me take these items with me. So he asked Sarpanch and took all those items along with him, and he shifted to another village. Now, when he shifted to another village, he is no longer have any money. So what he did, he tried to repair all those items, fix all those items, and he started selling all those items. And various people, they purchased all those items, and gradually he is from the rich people who are there. He is taking all those their rejected items with him, repairing or fixing them, and again selling off to the people in general. Then like this, from one village to another village, he is shifting. One village to another village, he is shifting. Over a period of time, he felt, now I should get married. I should have a partner in my life. So he searched out for a soulmate, and luckily he finds the same soulmate who has same kind of interest or same kind of, tendencies in the life. And then they both live happily, and they continue this same business of, acquiring some rejected or old items and fixing them and selling it off. So it was moreover like his house was full of such, rejected items. It became like a junkyard. So when he has to move to another village, he has to shift all those items again. So gradually, when he was moving to one village to another village, he came again to that village where he was living, came closer to that village, means neighborhood of that village he came. So this time, by doing all these activities for a very long time, he was completely frustrated. He was completely frustrated. So now, this wise man, who was the head of the village, Sarpanch, he came across this person, and he was very saddened by seeing his situation, how he is struggling for his maintenance. How he is struggling for his maintenance. So he sends his representatives, some of his, associates, to help this person and to bring him back. And to this person he says, what is your condition now? What you have become now? See, just for your maintenance, you are struggling so hard. Here and there, you are roaming around. You were living here very happily. But now, see your situation. You are struggling very hard. You are struggling very hard. So please come back, return back. So now he decides, okay, let me go back to my own village where earlier I was living. So here if we see, who is this village head? So anyone would like to share who is a villager or village head? Who is the villager and who is
Hare
the
Krishna
village?
Prabhuji, this villager is a common person like us who keeps on accumulating material assets during the lifetime, and we make ourselves as a junkyard. And village head is representing Krishna, who is trying to help us, but we are actually getting envy with him, that we also want to enjoy, we also want to have glorification like you, and eventually we get trapped into material things, and we keep on accumulating these material assets, and we make our life as a kind of junkyard.
All right, wonderful. So what is this then changing of villages? He's changing one village to another village, another village. What is
Changing
that?
one body to another, and another in another birth and death cycle.
Wonderful. Looks like you have already heard.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay,
Just,
very nice. What is neighborhood villages then?
It, I don't know. It could be another planet, or another
Yes.
family.
Anyone else?
Another family.
What is the neighborhood villages?
It could be, for example, like we know that there are 84 lakh yonis, and so these could be these different yonis.
Okay.
We have to shift.
Okay. Anyone else?
Or maybe Prabhu, Nark and Patal, Lok and I'm not sure, Prabhu.
Okay. So this villager head is, as mentioned, it is Krishna, and that village is Krishna's abode, where all of us were residing and living there happily. But out of our envy for Lord Krishna, what happened? We came to another village. We, being that villager who is that living entity, we came out of that village, that supreme abode, Krishna's abode. Now we are going through different villages, which is known as different bodies, as mentioned. So one body to another body, we are taking birth. Sometime we are in rat body, sometime we are in some aquatic body, sometime we are in some animal body. Like that, different bodies we are taking. And all these bodies we are taking, Krishna is mentioning in the 7th chapter. Yes, he is mentioning Ichha Dvesha Samuthena Dvanda Mohena Bharata. So this Mohena, Dvanda Mohena means this illusion is arised because of Ichha and Dvesha, because of our desire to enjoy independent of Krishna, and because of our hatredness, envy, we develop such illusion. As soon as we get a desire to enjoy independent of Krishna, we are put into this material world which is full of illusions. So what happened? We are taking such body again and again. We are going through these bodies in a cycle. And that neighborhood village is known as human body. We have got that human birth by which we get opportunity to understand who we are. We get an opportunity to associate with the devotees of the Lord and to understand our real existence, and by which we can transcend and come out of this cycle of birth and death. And we can again go back to that supreme abode, Krishna's abode, which is full of bliss. That is spiritual world we can return. So here Krishna is mentioning in the 7th chapter, O Ocean of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion. All of us are born into delusion. And this delusion is overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. Because of desire, desire means it's not, just like in previous sessions we discussed, it is not wrong to get desire. Desire is one of the tendency of the spirit soul. It is the nature of the spirit soul. Getting desire is nothing wrong. We are not some stone or inert matter which will not, develop some desires. All that is very natural. But these desires has to be purified. How? By serving Krishna, by performing devotional service, by chanting His holy name. We can awaken our true self, real self can be awakened by chanting the holy name of the Lord. So here Krishna is mentioning that because of this hatredness, envy or desire, we are put into this world of illusion. And at the end of Bhagavad Gita, what Arjuna is saying, Nashta moha smriti labdha. My all the moha, all the delusions has been destroyed. I've gained my memory, intelligence. And further he is saying how this delusion and desires can be purified or destroyed is Te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dradavrata. Te dvanda moha, this dvanda means two, moha, dvanda nirmukta, nirmukta, one can free from this delusion. How? Bhajante mam dradavrata, by with the determination. When we serve that Supreme Lord, one can easily get free from this desires and hatredness. Otherwise, how much expert one may be, one cannot get free from this hatredness and desire. Only possible way is to take up the process of bhakti yoga or devotional service. That is the only process. So we'll read the next two shlokas and try to understand. Verse number 28. Tattvavittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayo guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na sajyate. Translation. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, O mighty arm, does not engage himself in sense and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. So as we all know, work in fruitive result is where we work and we want result for our own self. Just like many people, they say, this money is my blood and sweat. Out of that, I have worked very hard day and night, and this money belongs to me. I will only enjoy. Whereas Krishna is mentioning in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the ability of the men. He is the ability in the men. He gives us ability to speak, ability to think. Even for that matter, he is saying, I am the fire of digestion. Just like when we eat some food, it's not like we have to, press some buttons or switch to digest our food. It is digested automatically. We have to just put in our mouth, chew, and automatically it is taken care. So that fire of digestion, Krishna is telling, I am. Even to blink our eyelid, it is not possible by Krishna's sanction. If Krishna's sanction is not there, it is not possible. We cannot move even our eyelid. We cannot blink. So all the ability we see, whatever we have got in our life, whether to think, whether to work, whether to walk, whether to speak, is by the grace of the Supreme Lord. So when we act for His pleasure in devotion, when we work for Him, so what happens? One can cross over this material existence very easily. Very swiftly he can cross over. We'll read the purport, then further we'll try to understand. The knower of the absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position in the material association. He knows that he is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord Krishna, and that his position should not be in the material world, where material creation. He knows his real identity as a part and parcel of the Supreme, who is the eternal bliss and knowledge, and he realizes somehow or other he is trapped in this material conception of life. So a person who is learned, or a person who is self-realized, or a person who knows the tattvavit, here Krishna is mentioning tattvavit. Tattva means one who knows the absolute truth. Tattva means, this absolute truth means that Supreme Lord, about his own self, about the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Lord Krishna. One who knows that, he knows that he has been put into very incompatible situation in this world, which is temporary, which is dukhalaya. This world is dukhalaya, whereas his nature is what? His nature is to be in bliss. Now he has been put into a place where it is full of dukha, sadness, distress. Even though he does not want a distress or sadness in his life, it has been forced upon him. It has been forced upon him. So that tattvavit, a person who knows who is the knower of the absolute truth, he understands he has been put into such an awkward position or an incompatible situation. So he makes now arrangement to come out of such a situation. How he comes? In his pure states of existence, he is meant to dovetail his activities in devotional service to that Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He therefore engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and becomes naturally unattached to the activities of material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. So whatever we perform for our senses, it is temporary in nature. It is temporary in nature. Just like we are serving our body from last 60, 70 years, 80 years, that at the time of death, we realize I did so much for my body. Now I have to leave this body, leave my family members. I have to leave this house which I have built, working very hard day and night. So I have not done anything for my own self. So far, I was just engaging in working or satisfying my own senses. Right? So that's why a person, he has to add Krishna as a center of his life. Then he can enjoy each and every moment a different kind of bliss. Anta sukha Brahma bhuta prasanatma na sochati na kanshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labhate brahm. So he can enjoy that Brahma bhuta stage, means when he is completely situated in that bhakti or devotional service, he can enjoy or experience that bliss in his life each and every moment. His happiness is not depending upon the material things around him. His happiness does not depend upon the relationships around him. His happiness is not depend upon such factor around him. Whether he has money, whether he don't have money, whether he is a poor, whether he is a rich, whether he is a king or whether he is a pauper, he will be always joyful. He will be always joyful. Further we'll read, he knows that his material condition of life is under the supreme control of the Lord. Consequently, he is not disturbed by all kinds of material reaction, which he considered to be the mercy of the Lord. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, one who knows the absolute truth in three different features, namely Brahman, Paramatma and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Tattvavit. Or he who knows also his own factual position in relationship with the Supreme. So Tattvavit is one who knows the absolute truth. There are three aspects of absolute truth: Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan. Earlier we have described this. And he knows his own factual position. What is that? I am that part and parcel of that Supreme Lord. Mamevamsha Jeev Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. I am the part or parcel of that Supreme Lord. He is aware of that his position also. And not only he is aware, he is acting on that plane by performing devotional service. By that he can revive his memory. Just like a person who has lost his memory, how you revive him? By performing some incidents which has impacted him a lot in his life. If you repeat such incidents, he may get his memory back. Same way, when we serve that Supreme Personality of Godhead, when we perform a devotional service by chanting his holy name, by visiting temple, by offering him bhoga, by having prasadam, by cleaning the temple, by any such activity, when we associate with the Supreme Lord, we revive our relationship with the Supreme Lord. We revive our memory with that Supreme Lord. That what is our relationship. We'll read this verse also. Prakate guna samuddha sajante guna karmashu tan akrishna vid madan krishna vinna vichalyate. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engages themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to performance lack of knowledge. So very nice instructions here Krishna is giving, that a person who is ignorant of all these things, what he does, he completely engage himself in the material activities and he get attached. He's completely engaged in acquiring money, acquiring friends, relatives, relationships, social status, name, fame. All these things he is working day and night and he get attached. But a person who is a wise, what he does, he helps such a person, by which he gradually make spiritual advancement also. He does not disturb him. Just like in last class we understood how an acharya helps such ignorant persons by constructing huge and big temples. These persons, they get an opportunity to get connected with Krishna and make a spiritual advancement in their life. Same way, a wise person like Acharya, What they do, they devise such practical methods by which such person who is ignorant, he can make a spiritual advancement in his life. He opens his eyes with the torch of knowledge. The torch of knowledge. We read the purport. Persons who are unknowledgeable falsely identify with gross material consciousness and are full of material designation. This body is a gift of material nature, and one who is too much attached to the bodily consciousness is called mandan, or a lazy person without understanding of a spirit soul. Ignorant men think of a body as a self. Bodily connections with the others are accepted as kinsmanship. The land in which body is obtained is the object of worship, and the formalities of religious rituals are considered ends in themselves. So what happens? He considers his body to be his own self, whereas he is the spirit soul. He considers his friends, relationships, or extended self from the body, like his wife, his family members, are all my kingsmen. Just like Arjuna, he was saying, how I can kill all these kingsmen? They are all my extended self. They are all belongs to me. They are in relationship with me, and they are worshipable. Whereas the real understanding is all of them belong to Supreme Lord. All of us are part and parcel of that Supreme Lord. And the land where he has taken birth is a land of worship. He should worship that land. And all the formalities, some rituals are itself is sufficient. There is nothing required. Nothing else is required. So he does not work in the direction where he can make a spiritual advancement in his life. He's completely around those rituals. As a matter of duty, he performs all those rituals, not to make a spiritual advancement, but just a ritual. Whereas spiritual advancement can be done only when we are in that connection with the Supreme Lord. When we realize our own self, who we are, and when we act on that platform, then only spiritual advancement can happen. Social work, nationalism, and altruism are some of the activities for such materially designated persons. He will do all such activities. Some charitable activities for the nation, all that he'll do. Out of illusion, he will do all such things. Under the spell of such designation, they are always busy in the material field, and for them spiritual realization is a myth, and so they are not interested. So what happened? He will start acting on those platforms. He will do all such things for the nation, for the society, but he will not make any effort to make spiritual advancement in his life. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter, Manushyanam sahasreshu yasyat katati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam. So he is saying, out of thousands of men, some will try to understand about the tattva, about the spiritual subject matter. And out of those thousands, someone will really understand. And out of those thousands, someone will attain the perfection. So not everyone gets this opportunity to develop that relationship with that Supreme Lord, or to realize the self, or to make a spiritual advancement in his life. Not everyone is blessed, but somehow by the Krishna's grace, by the Prabhupada grace, all of us has got an opportunity to make a spiritual advancement in our life. So now we should take this opportunity very seriously and try to make a spiritual advancement in our life by bringing Krishna as a center of our life. By reading Bhagavad Gita regularly, by hearing these sessions, attending these sessions regularly, what will happen? Our moha, our illusion will get destroyed. Nashta moha smritir labdha. Our illusion will also get destroyed by regularly chanting the holy name of Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We'll read further. Such bewildered persons may be engaged in such primary moral principles of life as non-violence, similarly in material benevolent work. Those who are, however, enlightened in spiritual life should not try to agitate such materially engrossed persons, better to prosecute one's own spiritual activities silently. Men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Lord Krishna advises us not to disturb them and simply waste our valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kind of risk, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for a human being. So very interesting thing here Prabhupada has mentioned. The devotees, they are so merciful, they are so kind, that always they try to help the jivas, they try to help the living entities to come out of that illusion. Jiva jago, Gora Chandra bole. Even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself came as a Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for all of us to come out of that illusion, so that we can come out of that illusion. Wake up us from that deep sleep that we are having in this material world, completely engrossed in this material world. We have forgot who we are. So he has come to wake us up, and he has given that formula by chanting this holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We can come out of this material existence. So once what happened, this Narad Muni, he became, very curious. How these sadhus, why this sadhu sangha is very important. What is there? That Shastras are saying just by having association of the sadhus, one can attain the perfection of the life. So Narad Muni could not resist. He went to Vaikuntha, where Lord is residing. He being the pure devotee, Mahajana, he can travel all over the world, all over the universe. Just in a moment, he can, transverse the entire universe. So he went and he approached that Supreme Lord and asked, what is the benefit or the glories of associating with your devotees? So here, Vishnu, he says, you go to this Bhuloka, such and such place is there, village is, kingdom is there. In that kingdom there is a village. In that village there is a tree, and below that tree, just now, a cow has passed the stool, and in that stool there is a worm which has taken a birth. You go and ask him. So Narad Muni was very surprised, astonished that how a worm can make me understand what is the benefit of sadhu sangha. So anyways, that Supreme Lord Krishna has told, he goes and he approached that worm and asks, what is the benefit of the sadhu sangha? And Narad Muni, he being a pure devotee, he can easily understand the conversation with the other living entities, their what we say, their sound and all, whatever he can understand. So this worm, as soon as Narad Muni asked a question, he cried out very loudly and he died. He could not understand. He thought, okay, worm's life are very small. Maybe he has died now. Again he goes back to that Supreme Lord, and again he asks and narrates the entire incident. He has died. He could not answer my question. So here Krishna, he says, okay, no worries. That same tree, just now a bird has taken birth. You go and approach that bird. That bird will answer your question. He says, okay, bird will answer. Let me go and ask. So that bird, he approaches and asks the same question, what is the benefit of associating with the sadhus? So bird also, she cries very loudly and she dies. This time he was completely surprised. What is happening? This bird also died and she cried a lot. So he came back. Again, he narrated the entire incident and told, this is something very different is happening. I could not understand. So please let me know what is the benefit of associating with the sadhus, with the devotees. So here Krishna again, he instructed Narad Muni, no worries, this time you go to the Goshala. There is a cow shed. Goshala is there where cows are there, and just now a calf has taken birth in that village. You ask that calf, he will give you the right answer. So he was very happy, Narad Muni, and very happily he approached that calf because calf is Go Vamsha. So he approached that calf and asked him, what is the benefit of associating with the sadhus? So this calf also cried very loudly and he also died. Narad Muni somehow he ran from that place thinking that now I have got a sin of killing a cow, Go Vamsha. So he approached that Supreme Lord Krishna and narrates the entire incident and asks, Lord, please save me. I have performed a very grievous sin. I just came to you to ask this question. What is the benefit of associating with the sadhus, devotees of your Supreme Lord? Now I will end up in such a situation. If you want to answer me, answer me. Otherwise, don't put me in such a situations. So Narad Muni, this time Krishna, he says, okay, you go to the king's palace and just now king's son has taken birth. You ask him. He'll give you the answer. Now this time Narad Muni is saying, my lord, I went to the worm, he died. Bird died. This calf died. Now you want me to even become a, take part the this thing, name for this king's son's death also? That I should be responsible, I should get that sin. I don't want to go. He got that fear. But Lord Krishna, he was, very merciful. He insisted, Narad Muni, and he said, okay, Lord is saying, let me go. So Narad Muni, he went to the king's palace, and king, as soon as he saw Narad Muni, invited the Narad Muni, and with respect and all, he made him sit on the throne. And king mentioned to Narad Muni, just now my son has taken birth. And now Narad Muni started getting nervous. He started getting nervous. So this king, he brought his son and asked Narad Muni to give his blessings. So Narad Muni takes that son, who is newly born baby, into his hands, lap. And now Narad Muni is completely, out of fear. He is shivering and he is very nervous. But he wanted his answer also, so he could not resist. And immediately he asked, what is the benefit of taking association of sadhus or devotees? So now, immediately, this child, who was a newborn baby, he started speaking to Narad. He is saying, O great saint, you are the great devotee of that Supreme Lord. And by your association, by your mercy, very swiftly, I transversed all these species from the worm to bird, bird to cow, cow to this human species. Now I've got this human form of life, this human birth. Now again you have come to bless me. I'm very much assured that this life itself I will attain the perfection because I have got your association. So just by the association of such sadhus, one can attain the perfection of his life. Once illusion, all the illusions of the life can be break, and one can easily attain that devotion, bhakti for the Supreme Lord just by associating with the sadhus. So we have got such a wonderful golden opportunity in our life where Prabhupada has very easily made available such association for all of us. By reading his book, especially Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna book, we can directly associate with Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, he has a control over Krishna, and he can give us Krishna very easily. Just by following his instruction, all our illusions can be easily break. We can attain perfection of our life very easily. We have such a golden opportunity with all of us. So I request all of us to please take out some time from your daily schedule and read Bhagavad Gita at least for 5 to 10 minutes. That will help you a lot. Actually, in this material world, getting wealth, getting friends, relationship, nothing is hard. One can easily get all these things. One can easily acquire all such things. The hardest thing in this material world is to come out of illusion. Is the hardest thing. To get out of the illusion is not at all easy. Come out of this illusions is the one of the hardest thing, and Lord very mercifully he breaks the illusion of such devotees who are very sincere. He breaks such illusions by which that devotee can easily and very swiftly can make progress in his life and attain the perfection of his life. Just by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can easily come out of such illusions. As mentioned, a person who is in deep sleep can be come out of that deep sleep just by calling him. Suppose your son is sleeping, you call his name 2-3 times, he'll come out of that deep sleep. Same way, we all can revive our own constitutional position, our true self, our true nature, just by chanting the holy name of the Lord, just by associating with the devotees of the Lord. One can easily come out of these illusions. So with this, we'll end here. Anyone has any question or anything to ask, please feel free to ask or share.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
So session is very wonderful, and these two stories are actually very penetrating. And thank you so much for sharing. And these are actually reminding us the full concept, what is there. So these are actually acting as a kind of reminder to relate and understand it better. So thank you so much.
Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
My question is related to the introductory sessions which you took earlier. In that session, you said that Ishvara is controlling all the jivas. So if Ishvara is controlling all the jivas, then how come some of the jivas are murderers, rapists, robbers? So I have this query and I wanted to seek your guidance on this question.
Correct. Even I forgot to cover this point. So yes, Krishna is mentioned in today's verse also. We see Prakate kriya manani gune karmani sarvasha ahankara vimodatma kartaham iti manyate. So he is telling that we also understood that all the abilities are derived from that Supreme Lord Krishna. Everything, whatever we are able to do is by his own, like Krishna's empowerment or his grace only we are able to do. Now another question is added into this thing, like there are a lot of murderers and criminals in the society. So if Krishna is doing everything, then where is our role? If Krishna is the doer of all the activities, then we are just like a puppet in his hand. So yes, anyone would like to share? What is our role then? We don't have anything. He is only doing everything. Yes.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Alka ji.
Actually, Krishna has given us the intelligence by which we can actually judge ourselves that what we are doing is right or wrong. So Krishna is doing, but we can say that we are already blessed with the being a human being. We already have that intelligence, which we are gifted by the merciful Lord. So we must use our intelligence while doing any activity.
Okay. Yes, anyone else?
Krishna has given us free will, but we are misusing that free will by misidentifying ourselves as the body, and we are actually taking care of all these things, and we are actually in illusion, the way you explained. So, if we are able to purify our desires by bringing Krishna in center, then we are going to get the results otherwise. And if we do not do this, then basis our karmic balance. Krishna will anyway sanction even if we go for a will which is not right. So then also at times Krishna will sanction basis whatever is balance and whatever we have desired.
Yeah. So yes, so Krishna, even a eye we cannot blink without Krishna's sanction. Because Krishna is situated as a Paramatma in our heart, all our senses are working. We are able to blink our eyes, we are able to think, all that we are able to do. You know what happens when a person he dies? What happens is, first thing which leaves the body is Paramatma. And as soon as Paramatma leaves the body, this body is no longer usable. And immediately Paramatma leaves the body. Immediately after that, the Jiva has to leave the body. The Jiva has to leave the body. So now here, Krishna, he loves us so much that he has made all the arrangement to fulfill our desires. To fulfill our desires. And Krishna is mentioning Maya Dakshina Prakriti Suyate Sa Characharam. This Prakriti, this material nature is working under my direction. So when we make desires, so what happens? This entire Prakriti starts working in that way where our desires can be fulfilled. Life after life, we are making so many desires and choices in our life so that we feel this desire or this choice is going to make me happy. So Krishna loves us so much. Okay, you feel this desire and this choice will make you happy. Okay, let it be. Go and get it fulfilled. So what happens? Entire Prakriti, this material nature works in such a way that it will fulfill all those desires. And we may think we are doing, whereas Prakriti and Krishna is arranging all that thing for us. And what happened? After making so many such material desires, at the end we get frustrated because we are not happy and satisfied even after making so many desires, after acquiring whatever we wanted. 10 years back, I wanted something for myself. But now I am realizing that same desire has got me a lot of pain. I'm not no more happy or satisfied with my desire. So Krishna, he sanctioned all our desires. He fulfill all our desires. So what is there in our hand is ichha, to make choice, to have desires. That is there in our hand. So Krishna, he fulfills the desire of a criminal, a murderer, whoever he may be. Because everyone is thinking out of the false ego that this thing will satisfy me, this thing will give me the satisfaction. Just like a child is there. Child thinks that eating 10 chocolates, I will be happy, I will be satisfied. But he don't know. By eating such 10 chocolates, he may get cavity. He may get some health issues. Same way, out of false ego, out of ignorance, we are making such desires in our life, making arrangements in our life to think that this thing will make me happy or satisfy. But all such things bring us to frustration And out of such mercy of that Supreme Lord, he breaks such illusion of the living entity by facilitating them sadhu sangha, or by taking away all such material acquisitions. Krishna make us understand. So that is the special favor, mercy of that Supreme Lord, where he breaks our illusions, where he breaks us our illusion. This is something very, very rare. Not everyone gets opportunity where he gets, he can come out of the illusions. This is very, very rare. Hope that helps you.
Yes, Prabhuji, it does. But what about the people who are, who got raped or who got murdered or who got killed? What about them?
Yes. Now, there are two things. One is a victim, and one is a person who has committed a crime. So, a person who has committed a crime, we understood, okay, he has done that crime out of his desire or his choice. But what about that victim? So, this karma is so complicated, and it is this karma, all the calculation of that karma, it is perfectly executed under the instruction or guidance of that Supreme Lord, that a person who deserves, only that person will go through such distress. Just like during the time of Mahabharata, when war was over, this Dhritarashtra, he approached Krishna and asked him, why I have to suffer a lot of pain and grief of, getting separated from my 100 sons? It is such a painful situation. Why I have to go through all such pain? So Krishna answered him that many lives back, some 90 lives back, when you were a Kshatriya, you went for hunting and you know, tried to shoot an arrow to a bird, to kill a bird. But it was a strike to a nest, and nest of that bird fall down onto the ground, and there were 100 eggs in that nest, and they were all died or destroyed. So that bird, she went through lot of grief and pain. So same that pain and grief you are experiencing in your life now. Then he asked another question. Why it took so many lives? I should have suffered a very next life. Why it took 90 birth? So Krishna again he answered that to get 100 son is not easy. To get 100 son, you have to perform lot of punya. You have to acquire lot of pious credit. Now, after 90 births, you have acquired such pious credit. Now you are going through that same pain which that bird has experienced. So same way, this karma is so complicated. Krishna is guiding us to get free from this karma bandhana. This network or this, thing is so complicated, so complex. One cannot come out of his own effort. He cannot cross over this material world where we all are bound up by this karma. It is not at all possible. Padam padam yad vipadam na tesham. Every step, whatever we may try to take, is full of dangers in this material world. But a person who takes shelter of that Supreme Lord, he can easily cross over this Bhava Sagara or material ocean. It becomes like a water which is held by a calf hoof print. Vatsapadam. Vatsapadam Parampadam. Padam Padam Yad Vipadam Natesha. As soon as one takes the shelter of that Supreme Lord, that entire ocean of material existence become like a water which is held by calf hoof print. Calf hoof print is very, very small. Suppose an expert swimmer is there, you ask him to cross over Pacific Ocean, he cannot cross over by his own strength. How much ever expert he may be in swimming, he may be the world champion, he cannot cross over. Same way, how much ever good we may be in our life, how much ever, pakka moralist or whatever we may be in our life, but if we have not taken that shelter of that Supreme Lord, we cannot cross over this cycle of birth and death. Harim Vinana Mritim Taranti. Without taking the shelter of Lord Hari, one cannot cross over the death cycle of birth and death. One cannot cross over. So that's why this karma bandhana is very, very tough to come out. So whatever victim maybe whatever a person who is suffering from, he is not he has been served what he deserved. It is not like some wrong order he is getting. No, even an inch of pain or distress in our life we get because we deserved it. Because we deserved it. Because we deserved it. So Lord's nature or this Prakriti is working very perfectly. Working very perfectly. Okay. So hope this helps you.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Yes. So we will end here. It's very late today. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare
Prabhu,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.